Okay, today is the 18th of October 2018. It's 1940 local time. This is Australian dollar, US dollar on a 50-minute chart, trading around 0.71. As expected, the low and the plateau was taken out. So the main position, we took profit on the main position here. We left a bit, and then I did another smaller trade here back to the low because new longies came into the market a few hours ago, and there are still nice short-term stops of the dumb money longies, which will now be taken out. You can see this white line is a short-term stop accumulation of dumb money buyers who will now be hunted out by the smart money algorithms. You can also see this medium-term stop accumulation here, excuse me. Yeah, so this is a short follow-up on that trade, and as I like to do sometimes, I would like to summarize some important points regarding foreign exchange markets these days. I mean, after all the evidence I've shown you, after all the live trades I've documented, after all the explanations I've been giving, basically it should be clear by now that these days the foreign exchange markets are completely manipulated. The price is not driven by supply and demand in the market. It's quite the opposite. So if more dumb money traders on the long side, the algos will push the price down. If more dumb money traders on the short side, the algos will push the price up, and they will go for their stops. And it's a bit more complicated than that, of course. There are certain principles these algorithms need to respect. I have basically given names to these principles, and once these are understood, it all makes complete sense. These principles make sure that the algorithms prioritize their objectives correctly. Yeah. For example, before doing a target stop run, the base case is that they go and take out at least the short-term stops of dumb money traders who place correctly. So, for example, shorties who try to short and place their stop above this high, as many people try to do and read it in books, they are first taken out, and once they're taken out and close their positions at a loss, then the smart money goes for the target run without them. And once all these understood, such as time and range principle, dumb money tolerance principle, plausibility principle, blocking principle, lasso principle, pre-run counter principle, etc., etc. It's quite, it's not too difficult to understand what's going on, why the price chart looks like it does, why the smart money cartel moves the price as it does. It actually becomes pretty clear. They play with the time. There's no rush. They have complete control, and most people do not even understand or are not even aware of this manipulation, despite all the stuff I have shown. I have not seen any similar approach than the one I'm showing you. I've seen traders commenting on naked charts about those phenomena in general, but as far as I know, this is the only place where you can see the actual manipulation in front of your eyes, with position stops and all that stuff, where you are able to observe how this plays out every single day. So this, again, this is not some peripheral phenomena. This is like the daily business in the foreign exchange market. Now, allow me to stress, I'm sure that it wasn't always that way. Yeah, markets change a lot. For example, I'm sure that 15 years ago, maybe there was less manipulation and also in a different way. But these days, the markets, the foreign exchange markets at least, are completely dominated by algorithms. Yeah, this manipulation is not done by manual trades. It's all pre-programmed. It's pre-programmed algorithms who do that of different big players. These cooperate. They do not trade against each other, but Instead, they work together against the unsuspecting majority of market participants on the dark money side, out of which a big group is corporates, not retail traders, by the way. So, yeah, it's for them, it's a money machine, probably one of the biggest our world has ever seen. They do pay fines on a regular basis. I've shown the statement by the US Department of Justice, for example. I've shown how these players pay like huge fines in the size of billions of dollars every 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and how they basically get rid of the traders who implemented that manipulation, then try to argue that, you know, it was not company policy, etc., etc. If you take some time to look at all my work, you will understand it. And if you are a trader, you of course should really incorporate these realities into your trading. Otherwise you will lose. There's a reason why such a high percentage of market participants loses. It shouldn't be that way if the market would be fair, but it's not. It's not a fair game. It's an unfair game. And even us, you know, showing you all this, we are not on the same level as the smart money. The smart money still has a transaction cost advantage, a speed advantage, an execution advantage, a full information advantage, and so on and so on. They are the ones in charge. They can basically, they run the show. They can move the price where they want, and they do it according to their maximum efficiency. They do it so that all groups on the dumb money side lose, whether they're long or short, whether they are trading reversals or breakouts or trends, or whether they scalp, etc., whether they trade pullbacks, whatever it is, news trades. All these styles, all these approaches, well, on which time frames, you know, everything is accounted for. And this is a very efficient machine. Well, this is not surprising because obviously the world's brightest minds have worked on this and they were rewarded accordingly. Now some people say, well, of course it has to be that way, otherwise the market would be different. That's true. So, I mean, as I've said before, the reason why foreign exchange markets are so liquid, why they are so deep, why they're so cheap to trade, you can trade euro dollar sometimes at half a pip or whatever. You know, why you can trade it 24/7, why you can place rather big orders in the market. The reason for that is that basically the counterparty will not take the full price risk. That wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. And since there are no perfect hedgers, you know, this would be losing business. They will certainly not pick up pennies in front of a steamroller. They will not earn the spread transaction cost just to have like a position going against them and without having any control over it. That's intuitive, not difficult to understand. And I should also mention that many big players are not in FX to make a profit neither. Often they try to hedge away currency fluctuations. So that's also an important aspect many people do not understand. Now, also remember that on top of all this intrinsic market manipulation, we have broker price manipulation against retail traders. Like if you have a bad broker, if you have those bucket shops which are trading against the client, they do all kinds of other tricks, you know, like manipulating slippage or the spread or doing a fake price spike against you, all these kind of things. You know, these are done by brokers who are bucket shops, who are, you know, who basically are doing highly unethical, often illegal things. Stay away from these brokers. That's what I can tell you. Okay. Because in such a case, you may even have a good strategy, but it gets destroyed by the broker. But what I'm showing you here is the reason why, for example, Aussie dollar goes up or down. So this is the real market manipulation by the big players, which leads to the price going up or down or flat. So that's on a higher level. The other things come on top. And when you're a trader, you need to account for all these realities. Yes. This is not conspiracy theory. This is how it works. This should be clear by now. And it makes sense. And you have to make sure that your setup is, you know, professional, that you have a good broker, that you're on the right trading book, that you have a good setup, you have a good IT setup, that you have good tools, that you are aware of these things here. that whatever you do, whether it's a system or EA or manual trading, it takes into account those manipulation realities I'm demonstrating to you. That's necessary. And all the other things come on top: risk management, position sizing, psychology, emotions, your trade plan and so on, the IT setup, internet speed, computer, blah blah blah. All these things, they come on top. They need to be in place, obviously. I mean, you can have a winning strategy and mess it up by over leveraging, for example. Yes. But what I'm saying is, this is overemphasized in the literature and on the internet. The other reverse is true. You can have the best mindset, best psychology, best control of emotions, but if your system is overall a losing system, you will still lose money. Some people, they fall victim to the thought that, well, if my emotions are under control, I will be a winning trader. Not at all. Because if your strategy is not based on the actual market micro and macro structure as shown, it won't work in the long run. It may work for some time, but then it will die. And that's another thing. I really recommend you to basically do a lot of testing. Even if you're a manual trader, even if you're not interested in any kind of automated trading, I still recommend you to sit down and to test different strategies under realistic conditions. Yes, like with tick data and commissions and slippage and variable spreads and so on. Do that exercise just to understand that many strategies which may look good visually are actually losing strategies. And even if they work for 2-3 months, then they completely die. I'm talking about the account curve going south and never coming back. So that's another challenge. I will maybe make a video on all this as well. And so this is the reason why so many, why most traders, the vast majority, loses. Because there are all these hurdles. There are technical hurdles. There are setup hurdles. There are of course, also emotional hurdles and so on. You need to be disciplined. You need to have risk management rules and so on. You can be aggressive, but you need to have a plan. And then the market is highly, highly manipulated, as shown. This is the reason why people lose. Not because they're stupid. And remember, when I say dumb money traders, they're not dumb. They're not stupid. They just suffer from an informational disadvantage. They are players in an unfair game. They are playing poker with people who can decide what's the next card on the table, who know what's your cards in your hand. So be aware of that. I have invested a lot of energy, time, effort into not only proving but demonstrating this to you. I've done all these videos. I've documented my own approach to that, how I trade that on different markets, different time frames, different kind of trades, scalps, position trades, sometimes at market, sometimes at limit, etc., etc. And if you are a serious foreign exchange trader, you will eventually find this content I've put out there. I guess you will somehow find it, and once you found it, you better sit down and watch it and learn it and understand it, because it will completely change the way you thought about markets. All the information you get out there is wrong. There are so many books, really bad books. They have no clue what's actually going on in the market, written by people who would like to have a clue what's going on, but they don't, and they just write wrong things. And all the universities, they have no clue about this. They give you wrong models. They come up with wrong explanations. On the internet, people, traders, they don't even know. I mean, what's funny? Of course, they're profitable traders, but they do not actually understand how the markets work. They don't need to sometimes. They think it's supply and demand, but they have like an approach or style which works for them. Fair enough. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. Of course, it exists. You will always find people who are able to do all kinds of things. Of course. And what I'm doing here is I'm not showing you any specific strategy or method. I'm showing you the actual market reality. And I have actually made sure it's understandable by defining those principles, by reverse engineering what they do, by making it intuitive, by making it visually understandable. You know, it took a long time to be able to do that, as you can imagine. You distinguish between short-term, medium, long-term stops. You need to distinguish between different scenarios, and then you need to have the knowledge. Well, what's going on? What's inner range versus outer range? What's the base case? You know, base case. What normally happens? And these what is tradable? I spent a very, very long time watching this screen time. Yes, thousands, 10,000 of hours. And then only after I observed the reality, then, you know, I went to the next step to define the rules. And this is now for you to benefit from. So on a final note, I believe that in general, it's very important to increase collective consciousness. Now, for me, that's one of the main drivers in life. It's a mission to increase the collective consciousness. It's selfish if you keep this knowledge for yourself. At least give others the chance to find knowledge if they're looking for it. And the majority will probably always stay more or less ignorant. That's how it is. But at least there has to be the chance for smart traders who do their research, who do their homework, to not fall victim to this unfair manipulation. This is what I'm trying to do here. Nothing more, nothing less. So basically, to share that knowledge. And of course, I have not shown everything I know so far. That's clear. But what I have shown so far should be quite shocking enough, and should at least make you think really deeply about these topics. And if you have no clue at all what I'm talking about here, well, go back to square one. You know, stop trading live. You know, go back and relearn what's going on in financial markets. Anyways, these were just a few thoughts I wanted to express. I wish you all the best. Be smarter. Do not be ignorant. Accept reality as it is, and react to reality in the best way you can. Stay safe, guys and girls.